Alright, so we got all our arrows fletched up. Now we're ready to put in the Black Eagle FOCOS system, the front and center pin system into our arrows. You need to get the pins out and your Black Eagle glue for your inserts, and just stick a little strip down your insert like so. Don't need a ton. Stick it in your arrow, and then what I like to do is a little innie outie, spin, spin, spin. Push it all the way down. Should pop in there real nice. Wipe off any excess if you have it, and then check. Make sure that it's completely flush around your whole arrow. Should be, since we already went ahead and did our arrows and squared up the ends, so it should fit perfectly flush. Innies, outie, spin, spin, and pop. Wipe off any of that excess, check it out. Looks perfect. All right, that's it. And then we're gonna go ahead and let those dry, and we'll move on to putting on the outside. All right, so we got our inserts dried up here. Now we're gonna go ahead and put on the retaining collar. All we gotta do, slide the collar on all the way, take our insert screw and thread it in there. It's a 3/32 Allen wrench. Stick it in, screw it on. Make sure it's a little tight. Thing's not going anywhere. And then we can screw on our points. Pretty simple, easy. This thing's pretty bulletproof. Oh, I like that. It's nice. Let's go ahead, do another one for you. Now you can Loctite with some blue Loctite. I wouldn't use red. These little screws, but it's not necessary. If I notice them starting to back out or get loose or spinning, then maybe I'll go ahead and do that, but we'll see after a few thousand shots what happens. One good thing about these is you can get your broadhead on there and go ahead and index it to your vane. So if you're shooting a 4-fletch or a 3-fletch, you want your cock vane a certain direction, you can take your broadhead and twist this collar by loosening that screw up on the inside, turn it, tighten it back down, and index that broadhead with your vanes if you'd like. Since I'm shooting severs, it's not going to matter for me this year. If I do end up shooting an iron will or something, then I might go ahead and do that, but not necessary. One of the great things about this insert-outsert system that they have is that insert post goes in quite a ways, and that's going to stiffen up that front of that arrow a bunch, so it's not going to break. And then the outsert goes over all that. The arrow's about to here. It's a good inch in there, and if anything bends, it's going to be this aluminum sleeve on the outside. But because this is also screwed in there, there's very little room for that thing to bend. Now I know I got the aluminums. Aluminum's not going to be as strong as the steel, but if I bend this, it's not going to break the end of the arrow shaft or where that post is. It's just going to bend this aluminum, and I'll be able to replace just that outside collar, and we'll be good to go again. If you get the steel, which is obviously a lot stronger, my fear is that then the weak point becomes here on the arrow shaft. If you hit something hard enough, that steel collar and your broadhead is going to be the strong point, and that's going to break right here at the arrow, and then you won't be able to actually reshoot that. Now, I mean, this is all what ifs, right? What if? How many times have you bent an insert or an outsert on an arrow? I mean, I've shot lots of hard things through wood, through tires, through bricks, all sorts of stuff. I've never bent an insert outsert yet. I've bent broadheads, but you know, sometimes the broadhead's the weakest point. Now if you're shooting something like an iron will or another super hardened steel broadhead, you're not going to have that problem. Your weak point's going to be somewhere in the arrow, probably up front. And with the 4mm micro diameter arrows, seems like the majority of the time the weak point is that insert outsert portion. It's just just not as good as a 5mm arrow or 6mm arrow, because you have this insert outsert type systems. It's just not as strong. But you do get some benefits in the wind. You do get a thinner arrow. The pass-throughs are a little better. As you can see, the collar is actually wider than the arrow shaft. So the nice thing about that is, as your broadhead goes through the animal, your broadhead is going to be the widest point of this arrow. And as that broadhead cuts through the animal, that's going to be the wide point going through the broadhead. This is going to thin down as you're coming through to the veins, and that's actually going to make that pass through easier, because there's not going to be as much drag on the arrow. Now with the 5mm and up, the broadhead's right the same diameter as the arrow shaft, and so the whole thing is just opening up big enough for that arrow shaft, and the arrow shaft's still going to have technically more drag. Now we're talking what ifs and very small scenarios, and we're kind of contemplating and making ourselves believe some of this is true or not true, because who knows in reality. It all sounds good. Technically it sounds feasible, but who knows? I mean, my opinion is shoot an arrow that's accurate, number one. Shoot an arrow that you're comfortable with in a setup that you can draw comfortably. And if you get accuracy and you're comfortable shooting your arrow, you're going to kill the majority of things, regardless of what arrow you're shooting, what bow you're shooting, how much poundage, how the FOC is. None of that matters. If you hit the animal in the right spot, you're going to kill it. I mean, people kill animals with 30, 35 pound bows. Obviously, we all want the best of everything, and we want to be able to kill that animal as easy as we can. I mean, that's why I shoot an 80-pound bow, right, with a 30-inch draw. I like to be able to reach out there, and I like to be able to pass through my animal so I get a good blood trail. And if I screw up and I hit somewhere bad, at least I know I'm going to pass through that animal or hit that offside shoulder. Maybe break that onside shoulder, who knows? I mean, anything's possible.